Hi, this is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
And you're listening to Unexplained, Arkansas, a new podcast that explores urban legends, mysteries, and the unsolved in the natural state.
We're just two best friends discussing the unexplained in Arkansas.
Hi, and welcome to Unexplained, Arkansas. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Yes, this is Amber.
This is Lisa. I'm not even going to tell you how rude Amber was just now to me.
We were just talking about goat yoga.
We were. And I said I don't like yogas, and I don't like goat, and I don't like any of it.
You don't like yogas and goat? You mean goats and yoga?
Yeah, I have a yes.
Oh my goodness!
I have a little cold.
Yes, yeah. Lisa's not feeling well, and I think I'm feeling too well tonight because I can't quit laughing.
And goat.
But yeah, goat yoga is something I've always wanted to try. It is a thing. Look it up if you've never seen it. It sounds hideous to Lisa. So
goats stink.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that actually brings us to the topic at hand.
Yay!
So this is our first. So we're going to say this
short.
Is, number one, our first short. Our first
and we're going to make it short.
Yes, we're going to make it short. But this is called an unexplained short. So it's basically the same way we do. I'm going to mansplain this.
Oh, good. That should take up some time.
We're going to do this one just like we do our regular episodes, where we tell you a story that is centered around an Arkansas phenomenon, though we do some banter back and forth, and the end.
The end.
Yeah. Okay. So our first one today is on the mysterious cow mutilations of the 1970s. Now, before we begin, I just want to say we do not think the mutilation of any kind of animal is funny. And of course, we don't want anybody to suffer, anything to suffer.
We love animals.
We love animals.
Except for goats. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, you and the goats.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway.
They're fine.
So I do want to put that disclaimer out that if you, but also if you have a thing about not hearing about animals being hurt, this may not be the podcast episode for you. Right. It may not be the episode for you. So if that's how you are with animals and things like that, then please don't listen to this one, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes.
But for everybody else, this episode is going to be about something that really did happen in the state of Arkansas that I had no idea about until we got a message from
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, are you going to hack through this whole thing?
That was a sneeze.
I don't know what that was. It sounded like a rawr.
It's coming.
It's coming again?
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Anyway, I didn't even know about this until a listener had sent us a message and asked us if we knew anything about the 1970s cow mutilations. And I said, why, no, sir, I don't.
I said this about that. And then I said, this sounds like something for Amber.
Yes, you did. And I was all over it because I grew up on a farm, I guess. I mean, a small farm. We had cows. We had lots of them. And I probably know more about cows than Lisa does. So this would be, something I should take.
I'm laughing because all I can think of is to say that you're a heifer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And that's why you know about cows. I'm just
kidding. That too. I'm a heifer, and so that's why I know about cows.
We call each other heifers.
Yeah.
And it's again,
it's a term of endearment.
It's a term, if you don't like it, then I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I think, didn't you say that in front of your daughter one time? And she's like, what is that?
Yes.
Why'd you call? Yeah. I'm like, that's a fun word to call people.
Yes.
So not that we think anybody else are heifers except for us,
Yeah.
So.
We're the two. We're the only two.
Yes. There's like a heifer cold case true crime podcast, or maybe it's paranormal heifer. It's some kind of heifer. I was perusing the internet and I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's a funny name. Maybe it was paranormal heifer. I'll have to go back and look, because if so, that sounds right up my alley. And yours too, you big heifer.
Yes. And there is a Heifer International. And I think
you're gonna bring the philanthropic thing into this.
Yes. And I always thought that was, I mean, I'm sure. Anywho, moving on.
I love that. And actually, I've worked with that organization before on a couple of school projects. So shout out to them. Shout out to that heifer. Yeah,
different.
We're different heifers than us.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go through this, and Lisa, you're going to be very surprised by what you hear, because this was a real problem. It was a problem nationwide, not just in Arkansas, and there still have been cases of cow mutilations that have no explanation in the last 20-30 years. So this is not something that happened and stopped. So we'll kind of dive into all that. So first, let me just tell you what cattle mutilation is. And I may call it cow mute, M-U-T, because that's short for mutilation. I don't know if I can say that 50 times in the podcast. Okay. But it's also called unexplained livestock death, or just animal mutilation. It is the killing of cattle under supposedly unusual, usually bloodless circumstances. And when I say bloodless, I'll get into that. Okay. It has not just been something that has been observed in cattle, but also horses, goats, pigs, sheep, rabbits, all kinds of animals. And most of it is, the same way. It's often bloodless, and they are missing things like ears, eyeballs, jaws, tongues, lymph nodes, genitals, and rectums.
Wow.
So this is not going to be an easy listen. Ugh. And so I'm glad we got the jokes in first, because this is kind of like ew and so it's kind of sad. So the History Channel was one of my sources. Believe it or not, they write about these cow mutilation incidents. Okay. And they said that the first case of livestock mutilation was recorded in the 17th century. And I think I read somewhere else that it was 1606 or something like that. So this has been a phenomenon for a while. And the History Channel also says that there are two camps when it comes to these incidents. There are those that believe it's just regular, natural, predatory behavior, and then those that think it's from unexplained phenomenon. So which camp are you in, Lisa?
Okay, so when they say unexplained phenomenon, like, do they...
Unexplained. They don't have an explanation for it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that seems like a broad category, so I could be in that one.
Oh, okay. So I looked through microfilm for stories related to this in the late 1970s in the Democrat and the Gazette, because, they were two different papers back then. And it was really hard for me to pinpoint very many articles, but there are a few. And it just kind of went away after 1980 and the Rommel Report, which we'll get into at the end of the podcast. But let's start from the beginning, when this all first started. And researcher Michael J. Goldman, I want to give a shout out to him, because he wrote a paper about this, and it was very informative. And he said that reports of cattle mutilation began to increase in 1973. Now, this is nationwide. This is not just in Arkansas. The incidents then continued throughout the 1970s. Ranchers and farmers would find their cattle mutilated by what was described as surgical precision. And you're going to hear that term over and over again. The state of Colorado was the heaviest hit, with almost 200 cases of mutilation being reported during a certain time period. So, and this was also one of the top stories in that state during the 1970s. So Colorado was, Colorado had a lot of these things going on. Witnesses said that udders, ears, eyes, sex organs were all taken out of the carcasses of these cows. However, the areas in which these animals were found often had no footprints or tire tracks around them. So that's the first weird thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that they were bloodless, correct?
Bloodless, like they'd been drained of blood.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is weird. That is...
Explain that, citizen detective. Yeah, we call each
in
other
the unexplained category.
Animals such as buzzards, who are usually quick to arrive at such an occasion, because that's like a buffet, for them, would often not even be there, furthering this whole mystery. So that's really weird to me. No footprints, no tracks, and then
drained of blood,
and buzzards
precision
everywhere.
Type cuts.
Yeah, and a lot of these reports read like that. I looked on the little FBI website, and they have all of this because the FBI ended up getting involved. So you can read about these reports from witnesses that all said just about the same thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
there was also many reports of unmarked helicopters in the area around the same time, and sometimes happening before. And this kind of thing was noticed a lot in the Midwest, but also in Canada. So
unmarked helicopters happening?
Well, yeah, that's how they described it, as unmarked helicopters.
Now that's interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Well,
it is.
That just makes me think of, if it was just maybe a new type of weapon being tried out on specifically cows, and maybe from other countries.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what some of these witnesses had said as well. Okay, so law enforcement agencies from all over the country began investigating the phenomenon, and several local law enforcement, all the way to state lawmakers, eventually called on the FBI to get involved. It needs to be noted here that the cattle industry was also in a very volatile state during the 1970s.
Okay.
Many didn't want government overreach, so there was kind of a simmering little battle going on between ranchers and the government during the 1970s. And it was
question.
Yes.
So were these specific cattle, did it say if these were cattle that were for beef production, to be, eaten?
Right. That's a very good question. But it doesn't say in any of the reports that I read what the cattle were used for. It names different kinds of cattle. And so I'm sure if we knew more about that, like I said, I lived on a farm with cows, but I certainly don't know the difference between one kind and another.
Yeah.
So, if anybody knows the answer to that, let us know. But that's a good question. What were those cows used for? So, yeah. Okay. So farmers began to get really anxious. And then rumors began to spread about exactly what you just said, that the government could have been doing some kind of training operation. Now, they had nothing to base that on, except that's what it seemed like to them. Others thought the government was testing out some kind of biological weaponry. And this is all from History Channel.
Yeah. And I would think, even I wasn't necessarily thinking our government. I was thinking a government, as in even one that was not ours.
Yeah.
But certainly ours.
I guess anything is possible. That's a scary thought, though. It's a very scary thought. So getting down to the Arkansas connection, there's really just one period of time that we had a severe issue with reports of cattle mutilation, and that was during the late 1970s, specifically the summer of 1979. That sounds like a song, the summer of 79.
Does sound like a song. The summer of 79.
I don't think there's dead cattle in
I don't know.
song. Yeah.
Okay.
So according to Only in Your State, the causes or the cases of unusual cattle mutilations began to pop up all over Arkansas, specifically in that summer, the summer of 79. The farmers and ranchers of Arkansas statewide began making reports that sounded like these ones that were coming out of Colorado and Canada and whatnot. This was after similar reports had been made in the fall of 1977. So there had been a few before, but not as many as that were going on in 1979. So there had been and this is in 77, sporadic accounts of cows being found dead and butchered by unknown means. And that's what the report states. From June to September in 79, however, there were several reports of mutilation and there was, of course, increased media attention. For a while, every unusual cattle death in the state of Arkansas was reported to the local papers and then to the state media. So it became a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean,
that
it really
was before we were born. Let's just be clear.
Barely, though. Let's be clear.
Hey,
barely.
Shut up.
Yeah. Now there's a great site online called Arkansas Road Stories, and I guess it's an older site. It looks like an older website.
It sounds funny.
Me an effort. Okay,
no, I'm just thinking about road stories. Like,
hey, I like that. Okay, so it's Arkansas Road Stories, and I can't find anything else about it, but that's the site, and I want to attribute it to them because they found every single article somehow. So
cool.
That was such a relief because I was having so much trouble. But on that site, they quote Lieutenant Carl Evans of the Criminal Investigation Division of the Arkansas State Police, and according to him, from April 1978 to September 1979, there were 39 reports of unexplained cattle deaths in the state and 16 in North Central. That's us, heifer.
It is us. Heifer.
Yeah. I mean, so
I that's a lot.
Yeah, and I don't remember my grandpa ever talking about anything like that. So, I don't know.
Nobody in my family ever spoke of cows.
We did.
I'm pretty on. I mean, we just didn't. So.
I remember the price of cows being a subject of conversation in my house. But
interesting.
I have never really heard much about a mutilation issue. So, on June 1st, 1979, a bull calf, you know what a bull calf is?
No.
It's a little boy. It's a male calf near Heber Springs was found mutilated. The animal's tongue, right eye, and organs were missing. There was no blood on the animal. Okay. Local officials called it a precise job.
Ugh.
Yep.
That's
so then, yeah, it is weird. And on June 2nd, 1979, however, Dr. Richard Thomas of the Arkansas Poultry and Livestock Commission announced that after a thorough examination, that calf had been shot in the head, or been shot. Sorry. I don't know if it was in the head, but it had been shot. So,
so it had been shot, drained of blood, and then mutilated.
Something
cleanly.
Like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Then
so it was shot, though. That's interesting.
Well, according to the person with the Arkansas Poultry and Livestock Commission, yes. So that was June 1st. On June 3rd, 1979, a cow was found mutilated near Mulberry. The cow's left ear...
Where is Mulberry?
I think that's going north towards, towards Fort Smith and Fayetteville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that area. The cow's left ear was gone. 3 teats were missing. And the cow's... Are you going to laugh because I said teat?
It just reminds me of Meet the Parents.
That's the technical term, okay? So that's the technical term. 3 teats were missing, and the cow's uterus was missing. There was no evidence of a struggle. So, yeah.
Of a struggle. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is not funny at all, but it is.
No. I'm gonna have to...
What does it mean? I don't. Anyway, so I have so many questions. Okay. Okay. I knew this was going to be funny, but gosh. No sign of a struggle. Was the cow's name Bob? And was he shot? I do have a lot of questions. I mean, this is I'm struggling to understand.
Okay. So, hold on. Let me get a drink and see if I get the laughs. Have the PETA people all over us.
We need to play some Sarah McLachlan right now. In the eyes of an angel.
I'm going to lose it over teats because of what we were talking about before.
What? Oh, gosh. No, It just reminds me, of in Meet the Parents where he's like, well, he was like, oh, we milk the little cats. They're little teats. And then Robert De Niro's like, well, Greg, I have, nipples. Are you going to milk me?
So we're running out of time.
Okay.
Donald Hurst of Ozark reported that a 375-pound heifer was found, and it was missing
379 pounds. Is it was its name Lis and Amber?
Okay.
Gosh. Oh, gosh. Whoa. I'm hurting. I'm laughing so hard.
That Sarah McLachlan commercial to get through this. Now, I'm turning my computer around so I don't get you. Okay. On June 8, 1979, in Ozark, a farmer named Donald Hurst reported that a 375-pound heifer missing its tongue, ears, tail, right eye, and sex organs was found on his farm. A local veterinarian described this as a surgical job. So there you go, with the surgical precision. I told you that was going to come up over and over again. So at this point, a reward was offered, and let's see, in that area, a $1,250 reward was put up by 75 cattlemen in Franklin County in response of what happened. And this was for the capture and conviction of any cattle mutilators. So let's just be real. I mean, this is making these animals suffer, and this is horrible. And these people probably, did this over and over again if it was the same person.
Yes, and just think about how, yes, and how expensive. I mean, because I don't know a lot about this, but I have had customers in the past that did. I mean, that's a lot of money and time that went into.
It is. And that's what I was going to say, that this is, of course, we care about the life of the animals, but this is also a lot of money, and this is the livelihood of these Arkansas farmers and ranchers. And of course, at that time, cattle prices were not, just, running wild, so. But the veterinarian also said anybody that would do something like this to a cow might not hesitate to hurt a human. Oh, actually, Sheriff Bob Pritchard said that. And
that's creepy.
Yeah. And hey, I'm not just making judgments here, but a lot of the time, people that do kill or have these kinds of things, in mind or whatever, start with animals.
Yes. Animals. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's possible. So that was all in June. And then it was kind of quiet for a few weeks. And then on July 25th, 1979, so it's almost, let's see. Yeah,
like a month later.
Yeah, a month later. Over a month later, really. So 2 16-month Holstein cows were found 3 weeks apart. And they had been mangled, and this was close to Morrilton. So this is kind of all over the map here. That's why
this was little cows.
Well,
those were.
Yeah, those were.
The other one was huge, but these, some were little.
Yeah,
so
it was
kind of
different sizes.
Different sizes, different kinds, different places. Yes.
Right. So it's very strange. But the narrative was the same for both of them. And, they didn't have the sex organs, the tongue, the udder, or the eyes. I don't know. I mean, it's weird. And Tommy Davidson, who was the owner of one of the ranches, said it looked surgical. So there you go with the word surgical. I told you. Yeah. So that was the 25th of July. On the 28th of July, a 700-pound Holstein bull. Now, this is a big one.
Good grief.
700-pound Holstein bull with its tongue, right eye, and sex organs removed was discovered on a logging road on Tucker Mountain, which was once close to Morrilton. The bull was reportedly mutilated somewhere else and then thrown on this road near Tucker Mountain. This is according to the sheriff.
And that's a huge animal. I mean, huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is probably the worst part of all of it. Since since it says its feet were fastened to a tree. And so the sheriff, and this was probably post-mortem though. I mean, this is a 700-pound animal. The truck drove out from underneath it probably. So there was, so let's not forget that, not that we don't think an unexplained phenomenon could be to blame, but there's probably a human element here. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So then on August 2nd, 1979, a 1,200-pound bull was found disfigured close to Ashdown. The corpse was discovered approximately 100 yards from a pond and 1 mile from the closest road. The sex organs were removed and the blood was drained.
Yeah.
They again said it looked surgical. Okay, so
I'm just wondering, so does it say in any of the articles about, like, did they feel like there was any type of usage of those items that are taken?
See,
like, I don't understand.
And we'll get into that. That's the mystery.
Okay.
Because people were, of course, starting to spread rumors and things like that. So we'll get into that. So on the 11th of August, the 6th mutilation happened, and they found another cow, left eye and udder removed, and there was no bloodshed again, and this was with surgical precision. So that is 6. That is 6 in that very small window. So by that time, thank goodness, the head of the Humane Society, B.J. Creedy, I think, requested that then Governor Bill Clinton form a task force to investigate these mutilations.
Gotcha.
So then they did that, and according to Only in Your State, investigators determined that the deaths all happened near water. The mutilations before and after that summer were said to have been conducted with expert medical precision, much like a surgeon. Very little blood evidence was able to be collected at the crime scenes, which was highly unusual for such gruesome killings. Arkansas residents and even some authorities began to speculate about satanic worship and aliens being involved with these strange cases. So there you go. That after all that happened, then the rumor mill started. People were saying that there was some kind of satanic cult ritual thing going on. Others thought it was part of a UFO, something or other. So there you go. Well, I don't think the state police liked that very much, because State Police Sergeant Doug Fogley complained that the sensational headlines that were bringing every kook out of the woodwork. So, that's his words, not mine. So after all of that, a retired FBI agent, Ken Rommel, began investigating all of these cases, and he put together kind of a report that looked at some of the reasonings that this might have been happening. Yeah.
Okay. What did it say?
Oh, I'm getting there. there. Yeah. Okay. So, there was actually, I guess there were 4 more, because it says August 16th, 1979, Morrilton veterinarians Norman Gray and Tom Brown declare the 4 recent Morrilton mutilations were the work of scavengers. Says Gray, if a dead cow were on its side, a buzzard could only reach one eye. And, I thought about this. I thought about what is a predator. And, in this case, it would be a coyote, could be a large dog. There are several things. And then, of course, the buzzards come later. They come for what is left.
But none of that is ever precise or surgical. Looking.
No.
Everything but.
So, again, they did autopsies, and it kept saying surgical precision, all of that stuff. But they did, in some of these cows, they did find some drugs in the cow systems. And, but it was some of the drug, and you can look and see in the reports what all they found, but some of it is consistent with what they use for cow tranquilizers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say, and don't they, I mean, depending on the cow and like the what they're, I mean, typically, and especially at that time, wouldn't they be injecting them with, I don't know, you just hear things. I mean, now it's all about not injecting them, right?
Right.
With hormones or whatever. But at that time.
Well, at that time. Yeah. And I hate to even say that. I mean, I had a lot of Happy Meals as a kid, you know. In the 80s, too. I'm sure there were lots of things in all the food we ate.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, you know, whatever. But go watch Netflix. Anyway, so.
Or don't.
Or don't. Okay, so according to Only in Your State, the most plausible explanation for all this would be severe weather. Lightning, to be more specific. You know, that a lightning bolt can strike and kill a cow standing near water. There you go.
But can it precisely and surgically remove certain parts?
Well, the body can be cauterized as a result.
I understand that, but
and then I mean, you've got scavengers like birds and insects that can eat away of all the little soft flesh around it, you know, like eyeballs and things like that. Oh man, this is a gross one. So
yes.
So like I said, the drugs found in the cow systems could be explained too. Believe it or not, PCP is a common cattle tranquilizer. And, you know, sometimes during severe weather, I've never heard of this, but I guess sometimes during severe weather, cattlemen or cattle ranchers, they'll give cows tranquilizers. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, I give
maybe they go like a little, like, get nervous.
Yeah, like a I used to give my dog something when it was storming. Yeah, like, called it her thunder pill. Yeah,
Paris luckily doesn't have any issues with thunder.
So I mean that, you know, that could be it as well, and it's far less disturbing than anything else. So during this time, several anthropology professors from U of A and, you know, got involved, and one stated that he knew of no organized cult groups in the state. Although he doubted if he could name a Protestant church either at that time, that blah, 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 so whatever. He proposed that Arkansans, on account of the strong fundamentalist influence on the culture, might be more likely to entertain a satanic cult explanation, the way political right-wingers are likely to find commies under the bed and liberals are likely to imagine fascists in the closet. Ooh. He did business. Yeah. All right. So another adjunct professor of anthropology, Dr. Nancy Owen, pointed out that 7 witchcraft altars were found in fields since 1978, and that in Franklin County, a king's-type scepter with a devil's head on it was discovered about a half mile from one of those mutilations.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
So she said, I'll give you the one about Zytos' wrath, assuming it's not just an adolescent prank, but not every pile of rocks is a witchcraft altar. I'll be the first to admit I didn't get to check out the crime scenes firsthand, but the papers reported crude stone altars. I think that could also be interpreted as a pile of rocks. Okay, you go, Nancy. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so later on in the fall, after months of this back and forth and panic, and of course the media got involved, things really started to get to a fever pitch. And so some ranchers conducted an experiment. A rancher named Jack Perry, who had lost 2 calves to mutilations, donated a cow for the experiment. The cow was killed with tranquilizers on the evening of September 4th. A surveillance team watched the carcass from a distance all night, and at sunrise, the body was still intact. By noon, some 18 hours after its death, flies and buzzards had eaten exposed orifices, and most of its organs were gone: the lips, the exposed eye, in short, all of the soft parts. So yeah, so this is from the Arkansas Roads website. So there you go. I mean, that's an explanation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was less surgical.
Yes, that's
true.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So still, the whole thing to me is very strange. It is. It's very strange. So ultimately what happened was the FBI inquiry poured cold water on the idea that something strange was happening. On January 15th, 1980, the Bureau closed the investigation and put out a statement saying none of the reported cases has involved what appear to be mutilations by other than common predators. Now, this is quote unquote from the Rommel report of 1980. So the 1980 Rommel report said natural causes and actually toxic plants.
Toxic plants. Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But also, on a side note, this is not something that stopped in the late 70s. There have been lots of reports of, things like, not just cows, but other kinds of livestock being mutilated. This phenomenon is actually part of the famous Skinwalker Ranch saga up in Utah. Now, do you know what the Skinwalker Ranch is?
No, just what you had told me. And I think I did watch maybe a TV show.
Yes, there's a show on it, I think. And it's not just about cow mutilations. It's different things. So here's the rundown on the Skinwalker Ranch, because I'm going to totally watch this show after this, because I'm interested in it now. Because, at first I would turn it on there. I'll be like, okay, it's just a bunch of people walking through dirt. Okay, why are we doing this? Now I know why. So this area of land was deemed cursed. So in the mid-1990s, a past owner sold the land after just 18 months. And after he had several unexplained phenomenon happen. In an article that I found from 1996, which, believe it or not, was online, by the Desert News, stated that the owners, Terry and Gwen Sherman, first reported seeing unexplained lights and flying objects. After those incidents, they found one of their head of cattle had died. The death was strange because there was only one hole in the left eye, but other than that, it was untouched. Witnesses then reported a strange chemical smell around the cow, and later on, this happened again, a second situation, second cow. Then cattle started disappearing. One appeared to have been lifted from a snowy ground, and one reportedly had a circle of branches and sticks around it where it was last seen. Yeah. So eventually, they sold it because there was other things going on at the ranch, and you can find all that out from the TV show, I guess, because there's like a documentary type show about Skinwalker Ranch.
Isn't it on Netflix? Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
I think it's on Hulu. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll share it when I share everything with this. And
I think Netflix has one too.
Yeah. Well,
similar.
Okay. So the last thing is in 2023. So last year there were reports of cattle mutilation incidents in Texas. There were 6 different incidents within a 3-county area. So there we go. Yeah. So this is not something that just happened in the late 70s and then went away. So apparently it's still happening.
It sounds like they never really got any answers and just kind of
said, okay, this sounds good. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, people were starting to panic.
Yeah.
It is strange. I will give you that. It is very strange. And I have seen a dead cow or two on our farm. Usually it would happen after, childbirth situation went wrong or a cow got sick and we found it the next morning. So I've never seen anything, though, quite like what they describe.
Yeah. If I found something like that, that would be very strange considering my lifestyle.
I was just going to say, you wouldn't find a cow.
But that would be very strange if I was a rancher.
Yes. Yeah. So. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot that could still be figured out about this whole story. I think that what
sounds.
Yeah. And I was really shocked to see that Arkansas had a connection in all this. And that the amount of deaths were all at the same time. And they would be like in a big, in the same time period. There'd be a big group of deaths and then there wouldn't be any for a while. And this is how it was in the whole country.
Yeah. Moving around. Just kind of.
Interesting. And
it is interesting.
We didn't go really into the UFO aspect of all this, but there is one, and there's lots of people that try to say that is proof that extraterrestrials are coming down here to, I guess, to hang out with our cows, to probe our. I don't know, but yeah.
I think I'm more apt to think that it's our government, or not, or a government, kind of maybe, or maybe a group, an organization just trying out a new weaponry.
Yeah. Well, I will say that
that's where my mind goes.
The only thing I've ever heard of is, in my area is cow tipping. I've never heard of anyone being mean to a cow and I've never been cow tipping in my life.
I remember, didn't we try to go cow tipping, or like, because I refuse to drop my G's, so it's cow tipping.
Oh, sorry.
To me. Okay. But like, it seems like we were going to, and then we're like, no.
Yeah, I don't. If I had been cow tipping with you, I would remember, and I don't think we ever did. I think we might have said we were.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things. Then we were like, let's just go to a cemetery.
Yeah, I feel like we were at Sherry's when we, our other best friend Sherry, she had cows on her farm too. I feel like that would have been something we would have done at Sherry's house. Is either go to a cemetery or go cow tipping. So
yes,
yeah. She used to like to leave me back there in her pasture by myself, lost.
Oh my goodness, that's scary.
Yeah. Oh no, that's just part of it. So, but yeah, so that's it. That's the story. That's the short, and it's shorter than usual. It's still technically a short, and when I edit out all of our mistakes, it'll be a lot shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, because we played a lot during this episode, just because. So
we got the giggles.
We did
a lot during this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. That's all I got. So until next time, friend, or actually till tomorrow when I come over and watch a movie at your house.
Yeah. And we're gonna eat pizza and lounge.
Yes, definitely. Pizza. Okay, well, that's it. That's all for our first Unexplained short. Thank you.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Love ya. Bye.